You sit down with a book, read 3 lines, and suddenly your brain starts looking for an escape. You check your phone. You stand up for water. You organize your desk. You become intensely interested in doing literally anything except the thing you actually sat down to do. Your brain has become incredibly good at expecting quick stimulation. When you spend hours moving from one highly stimulating activity to another, your attention gets used to novelty, speed, instant feedback, and constant changes. Studying operates on a different timeline. You read a difficult paragraph and might not understand it immediately. You spend 30 minutes learning something that won't give you any obvious payoff until weeks or months later. It is a strictly delayed reward activity. Because your brain naturally prioritizes things that are new and instantly rewarding, asking it to sit with one difficult chapter for 40 minutes can feel physically painful. When your environment constantly provides novelty, ordinary tasks begin to feel unusually slow. The friction you feel is the predictable result of a brain conditioned for high-speed stimulation, colliding with a task that offers no immediate feedback. You cannot fix this by sitting in a dark room for 30 minutes to reset your dopamine levels. The actual objective is much more practical. You are training your ability to tolerate boredom. Imagine spending 20 minutes jumping between short videos and messages, then immediately trying to concentrate on a textbook. Your brain has been moving at high speed, and asking it to suddenly sit still is going to feel jarring. This is why you need a buffer. Before you study, create a 20-minute quiet start without constant stimulation. Drink some water, organize your materials, look out the window. Give yourself a moment to step away from the noise. During those 20 minutes, you will likely feel the urge to reach for your phone without even thinking. When you notice that urge, let it exist without obeying it. That tiny moment of resistance is where attention training actually happens. Next, spend 1 or 2 minutes deciding exactly what you are about to do. Instead of saying, "I am going to study," give your attention a precise target. For the next 25 minutes, I am going to understand these 5 pages and write down the 3 most important ideas. Pairing a quiet buffer with a sharp, actionable goal tells the brain that there is only one task available. It eliminates the illusion of alternative options. Now you start the first block. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Choose your one task, remove all distractions, and begin. During this time, your only job is to stay with the material, regardless of how much resistance you feel. This graph maps out the experience of that block. In the first few minutes, you will hit a sharp spike of resistance. Your mind will suddenly claim that your desk needs cleaning. But if you ignore those urges, the friction eventually tapers down into a steady baseline. The first block is a test of presence. You are teaching your brain to tolerate being in one place, establishing a baseline of focus regardless of how much you actually memorize during those first 25 minutes. When the timer ends, take a short break. Be careful, using this time to scroll through high-stimulation digital content will likely pull your brain back into a high-speed state, making it much harder to return to your work. Instead, choose a low-stimulation break. Stand up, stretch, walk around, or take a few slow breaths. This shift helps you recover without hijacking your attention system. This specific cycle, focused work followed by quiet recovery, methodically conditions the brain to treat effort as a worthwhile pursuit. Focus is tied to your physical state. If you haven't slept or you're dehydrated, your concentration will suffer. Treating your attention carefully while neglecting your physical health is like trying to drive a car without an engine. You will have days where the routine fails and you waste an hour on your phone. When that happens, look at the data instead of your character. Ask, was the phone too close? Was the task unclear? Find the specific problem, adjust the environment, and try again. The goal is not a life devoid of entertainment, but a life where entertainment is a conscious choice. You should be able to enjoy your free time without it turning into an afternoon of avoidance. Consistency matters more than a flawless record. By analyzing your failures and maintaining your physical basics, you ensure the behavior stays sustainable over the long term. After a few days of practice, you will notice a change. You sit down, open the material, and the initial resistance fades. You start sooner, you stay longer, and you recover from distractions much faster. As you progress, the rewards shift. The satisfaction moves from the sound of the timer to the experience of the work itself, solving a problem that confused you yesterday or recalling a concept without checking your notes. The noise fades out and your mind finally settles comfortably into deep work. Starting has become the natural response to your environment. When you consistently hit your study goals, you stop guessing if you'll work and start knowing you will. This internal reliability, knowing you will follow through on your own intentions, is the foundation of becoming more capable. Your attention is being trained every single day by whatever you choose to feed it. By actively directing it, you become the person who decides what actually matters.